Welcome back, and I am here with Erin Dolan, who is a person with type 1 diabetes living in Clare, originally from Florida in America. And we took a break in our first conversation. We were talking about Erin, who had gone traveling and had a malfunction with her insulin pump, and that resulted in not using an insulin pump for a number of years because of insurance difficulties. And then you went traveling again with Joe, your now husband. And so now we're at the point where you have come back to Chicago and you were about to talk about insulin pumping again.
Yeah, thanks, Grania. So we had just moved to Chicago, and I did eventually get back on an insulin pump. So it was the Omnipod, and I did really like this Omnipod because I started to become quite active, and it was just a little pod with no tubing, and then also the Dexcom, the CGM. So the CGM, that was the first time I was on a CGM. So, gosh, what year was that? 2007, I think. I think it was around. Geez, it sounds like ages ago. But when we were in Chicago, the first year that we were there, my two best friends came to Chicago to run in the Chicago Marathon, and I was really excited for them. And I just remember before the marathon that night, I broke down, and I was like, this is something I could never do. I could never run a marathon because of my diabetes. And with Joe, and Joe was like, well, why not? This is still something you can achieve. I just was like, no, like this is so much more intense than traveling or dancing. This is a long, strenuous race. So, anyways, that day of the marathon, like it was so there's so much excitement around it, and after it, I slowly took steps to ultimately then achieve running my own marathon. So when I was training, I started off doing mini triathlons and cycling a lot. And then when I was training for the marathon, we trained with a group. So unfortunately, there was no kind of diabetic specific groups. You could raise money for diabetes, but there was no groups dedicated just for diabetics. So in my own training, there was a lot of trial and error and trying to figure out, when my glucose numbers go low, and how I could use my settings, my basal rates, and always carrying something with me in case I do go low and I need to treat a hypo. So there was definitely a lot of trial and error over the months for training for it. But I
Yeah,
eventually got
yeah, go
got the
ahead.
chance to run in the marathon. And it was exciting. And normally, like, during the training, I would always go low at the very start. So the day of the race, I'm like, eating a banana and some dextrose tabs, glucose tabs, and get just really exciting, and started running, and then checking my pump, and arrows going up, and going, or the Dexcom at that time, the pump, the arrow keeps rising. I was like, what is going on? It's going low, but I never factored in the adrenaline. So with that extra hormone, my glucose levels were going up. And then of course I was like, rage bullicing, going down, go down, down, down. So then nearly at midway, it was starting to level off, but then it dropped. So then I was back up, eating, the squeezy things, and
The
anything else that
gels.
they were, hey,
Ew,
yeah, the gels, and anything
gross.
else that was on the side that they were given. And eventually it kind of plateaued, and I was at a good pace. And it was really hot that day. And I think it was like around mile marker 20.
Out of
And my
26.
Yeah, out of
Okay.
26. And I was sweating a lot, and my Omnipod, it just fell off. Like, I heard something fall, and I was like, what was that? And I looked, and it was my pump, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm nearly done. Come on. So luckily, again, I brought back up. I had a bum bag, and I had a neat like a needle in there with the insulin and everything else. So I ended up making it making it across the finish line. Just completely overwhelmed. Just a pure like pride in myself for doing it. And at that point, you know, the time did not matter. I didn't care if I, if it was the next day. I was finishing that race, and I was determined to finish the race, and to prove myself this was something that I could do because of the diabetes. So I was pure delighted with myself. Like, it was definitely an up and down um, roller coaster of diabetes during it, but it was great. Yeah, it was a great sense of enjoyment,
Yeah.
uh,
And I'm
confidence,
actually getting a
confidence.
little bit emotional listening to that story, going from this is actually something that I don't think I could ever do because I have
Mm.
diabetes to crossing a finish line, just
Oh,
overcoming all those mental
yeah.
barriers and those assumptions that you had built up in your head. And what was the time frame between the your friends doing the marathon and you crossing that finish line?
Yeah.
Was it a year or two?
I think it was actually 2 years, because I started cycling, and then I was doing kind of like little mini races, mini marathons, and I did like a half marathon. And my husband, actually, he did the Chicago Marathon the year before that. So then this year, he did it as well with me, and a lot of our friends did it. So on the other side of the finish line was what he was there, and our other friends. So I think it was about 2 years
That
that I
was,
did
and
actually
but
make the
you
goal.
you built yourself up for
Mm,
that being the goal.
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was something that yeah, I definitely didn't think I could do it. Um, and to be able to finish that, like, it was definitely a turning point in my life, that I can achieve it. I can achieve anything, after the marathon, and having to do that with the diabetes. It was, yeah, that was definitely a big turning point in my life.
Yeah. And basically nothing was off the table then.
Yeah.
If you could do that, what couldn't you do? Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which
Okay.
definitely led me to another adventure.
Okay, so we know you eventually ended up in Ireland because you're talking to us from your house in Ireland at the moment, and that you married Joe. You have two gorgeous children now, Maeve and Lucas,
Yes.
and so now I want to talk a little bit about the health coaching that because
Mm,
you've recently just launched your health coach business, and you are on Instagram, Facebook, and the internet because you got your
yeah.
website. And I'll post all those links in the information below this video for anybody who wants to find out more about Erin. So, first of all, can you tell me in very few words what exactly is a health coach?
Sure. So, a health coach, well, specifically for diabetes, it's not focusing just on your diabetes. It's focusing on the individual as a whole. So, different factors that go into the individual, and obviously we know that diabetes affects many things,
Yep.
in our health and our life. So it is focusing on the whole individual, and so factors such as improving their diet, improving their eating habits, finding confidence, overcoming emotional barriers or those daily struggles with diabetes. Maybe it's losing weight so that overall they can achieve their best diabetes management.
Excellent. And you do focus a little bit on life outside of diabetes and making diabetes fit in better.
Exactly. Yes. So
Yeah.
that's it, because diabetes, you have to embrace the journey, and you have to allow it to fit in with your lifestyle. So, as we were talking about with my own background and my own experiences, these are emotional things that I had to go through to get to where I am now. So that is what I want to be able to share with other diabetics, to know that these are things you do have to deal with them, and we can. So to develop their personal health goals and make a plan so that they can achieve them.
So what, I mean, you've kind of alluded a little bit to why you decided to become a health coach. So maybe elaborate on that, but how did you become a health coach? Did you have to do a course or
Hmm.
study?
Yeah, so when I came to Ireland, I was a qualified health coach, and I did a program, a certification to become a health coach, where we learned all the different kind of diets and nutrition factors, but also the lifestyle factors that affect our life. So we talk a lot about kind of the primary food, which is the things that are outside, like our relationships, our fulfillment, our job, our physical activity, our spirituality, and then the secondary foods, which is actually the foods that you put into your body. So it's aligning those things, and then with diabetes, there's another kind of mix.
Yeah.
So it's blending all of those things together so that you can find a healthy balance, and wanting to do that because of my experience. And also one of the other adventures that I did get to do was cycling through Central America, and that was a huge life-changing moment for me, and understanding more about my diabetes and things that I could do to manage it. So I wanted to make sure that with things that I had gotten to do in my life and the experiences that I have dealt with, that I can work with other diabetics to allow them to embrace their diabetes and their journey as well.
Brilliant. I mean, it's yeah, and we talked a little bit in our last conversation about how helping others is helping you as well. So it's like
Yes, yes,
you're
very much
taking
so.
that journey. Yeah, you're taking that journey with the people that you are helping too.
Yeah, because coming to Ireland, I wasn't really sure how the health coach role would fit into this, the health sector here and the health system. But as we know, it's opening up a little bit more, and we're open to new forms of support in the health sector. So a health coach is, and specifically for diabetes, is a great role to bridge, the gap where you go meet your consultant, they tell you what you need to do, and now you have to do it yourself. So that's where the health coach comes in, and they can allow you to actually put those goals and actions into plan.
Yeah.
So to be able to bridge that, and it's almost kind of like an accountability partner as well.
Yeah, and it's self-care support, self-management support, whatever way you want to phrase it in the current buzz lingo. But it is basically about helping people, supporting people to manage their own diabetes
Yeah,
and
and
feel
like
less isolated.
with me, I'm still doing it. So it's very reciprocal. When I'm helping with somebody, I can find something in my own life that I can relate with them. So I am able to show that compassion and empathy towards other diabetics. It's not just me becoming a health coach because I want to become a health coach, but it's a lot more. It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling myself and understanding what other diabetics are going through. And I think that's really important because my first consultant was a diabetic, and I had a really good relationship with him because he understood what I was going through, where, a lot of the consultants that we do see, they don't understand. They tell you, this is what you need to do, but they don't really understand how the person has to implement it, and how it fits into their lifestyle. So that is, again, like where I can come in as a support.
That's a really good way to frame it. It's once you leave that consultation office, having to implement what you've been instructed to do, or hopefully it's been a shared decision process that you've come out with, but then follow through on that shared decision. So yeah, that's excellent. And I'm excited that Ireland is actually becoming more receptive to this kind of care and support, which is excellent. So thank you so much, Erin, for sharing all that with me. And as I mentioned, your website is madaboutdiabetes.com.
Crazy about diabetes.
Crazy.
Close though. Mad and crazy. Yeah, they go hand in hand because, it's a play on words because it's crazy. It does. Diabetes drives me crazy, but I'm also crazy about it because it's part of who I am, and it has driven me to be able to do all of these things. So yeah, like you said, crazyaboutdiabetes.com on the web, and on Facebook. Erin Dolan, and then also Crazy About Diabetes on Instagram. And also on Instagram, I show different recipes and reels and just some fun bits and some inspiring things to kind of help you keep going. But through my health coaching, I offer one-to-one programs, consultations, or specifically guided to nutrition, and also some group programs. So more to come with that.
Yeah. And I can definitely vouch for your Instagram channel because it's so fun, so engaging, and I can relate to it so much, especially when you go out in your bare feet in the grass in your garden, and but talking about your pump changes and the stuff that we have to think about as people with diabetes. So thank you very much, Erin, for joining me this morning, and I hope our viewers have enjoyed listening to your amazing story and walk away full of inspiration. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Grania. Yeah, it was really, I enjoyed kind of going back through my whole life with diabetes and to reflect on it. So thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome.